This is the thought pyramid, and I'm going to talk about polarity. First of all, what is the thought pyramid? You would think or say this is a tent. It's not a pyramid, even though it has a pyramidal shape. But the pyramid is inside your head. Actually, in fact, you do have small tetrahedrons in your head or in your body in molecular forms or even in minerals, believe it or not. So you do have a lot of pyramids inside you. So the pyramid is just the name of this, and it's also something that you have inside. But for me, this is my thought pyramid for now, and it will change its environment as usual as I go through this nonsense series of talking about anything. Today I woke up thinking about polarity. And what is polarity? We hear the term a lot used in spiritual circles and groups and talks and models and all that. And in physics, we know polarity as just electromagnetism, as the magnet has two poles, positive and negative. And so this is used a lot in spirituality. But I want to use it in the term of dualism, because humanity, or what we know as third density beings, us humans, we are made by polarity. We are made by perceiving everything as two. And the way you can see this is through the notion that everything that you think has a polar opposite. And in fact, this is something that in the law of one, the raw material, they encourage you to think about the opposite. Every time you have some sort of thought, think about its opposite, and so you can balance it. And what is the purpose of that? The purpose of that is for you to be aware that every single thought, idea, perception of the world that you have can have a balance, and you should seek that balance if, of course, you're seeking harmony, or the middle way, as the Buddhists call them, or at least the Buddhism that started with Gautama Siddhartha, but that's another story. So the point of polarity, and I'll have to backtrack a little bit, is that nature per se, and with nature I don't mean just the planet, but the cosmos in general, doesn't have a polarity. It just doesn't. This is not only a human construct, and many people would be surprised to hear this, but it also is a spiritual construct, because we think in terms of polarities as growing up or evolving our soul in either the positive or the negative sense. And this is possible because this universe is infinite, but it's still an illusion. It's still not true. Now, how do we know this is not true? Well, this is with the concept of unity. And I want to emphasize the point that unity is also a concept. It's not the finite thing that we know as the creator or God or infinity, actually. Because all of these are creational concepts, and they don't describe the true oneness that is expressed in so many texts and in so many other philosophies. But this one, and this is why the Hindus actually didn't use the term oneness, or trying to refrain from using it, because oneness means or implies manyness, and that is not. That's why they use something like the void, which is actually something a lot more useful to think about. But in any case, we have the abstract idea that there is a sort of unity in which there is no polarity. And for that, we can use it for the purpose of this video, where we're talking about polarity. And polarity being that thing that doesn't exist truly in the creation. It is a perceivable thing that we entities create, because that is the nature of this creation, is the rules by which we are living here. If you don't play by those rules, then you go back to infinity. You go back to unity. You go back with God. And this doesn't happen when you die. I know this is a long topic and I'm going all over the place, but that's just how my mind goes. And this, again, is just a place for me to express everything that goes inside here. So in that context, we can realize that the self, which is us, we don't exist in polarity. We only perceive in polarity. There's a huge difference there. We perceive the world in polar opposites, because when I say you, that implies me. So thank you very much, because I can exist, or the idea that I exist is here because of you. And in the same way, when I say, and this is for more practical purposes, especially in this era where everybody is going around pointing fingers at who should be what, when you create the concept of goodness in you, you are inherently creating evil. So in your mind, in your world, there exists evil. And the more good you are, the more evil there is. Because for you to have a concept of goodness, of positive, of whatever name you want to call yourself, you have to create a polar opposite. Because you can only measure goodness by its relationship to evil. And thus, we create this notion that the world is evil. And only a few people are good. And only those that think about you, or think like you. Those who think about you love you, in some sense. So, when we think of ourselves separate from something, again, that implies non-unity. And that's okay. That's just the way life is. And it's one way, the other, but there's also the middle way. And in the middle way, you balance everything. And this is why at the beginning I mentioned that idea that Ra mentioned as well, saying that we should always think about the polar opposite of what we're thinking so we can balance ourselves. All right, that's all I got for this first episode of the thinking pyramid, or the thought pyramid, whatever you want to call it. Remember, it's not outside, it's not a construct, it's inside you.